What is a trope, and how does it differ from a metaphor? The synonym of trope is defined as metaphor, but there seem to be some other implications when using the word trope that metaphor does not have. Can anyone explain this simply and sensibly?
The word trope has shot to prominence in the last couple of decades. And as this article points out, trope is the new meme, which are read in two ways. Use of the word itself has become a meme, pattern of behavior that spreads throughout a culture. But also, the meaning of the word has shifted for many people. To quote from that article, trope has to do with an agreed-upon narrative, an archetypal reading of a story or situation according to the simplest and most widely held beliefs, a kind of narrative stereotype. Or, as the excellent site TV Tropes puts it, tropes are devices and conventions that a writer can reasonably rely on as being present in the audience members' minds and expectations. I actually studied literature over 40 years ago, but I can't say I remember us using the word in the typical dictionary senses given by OED. A figure of speech which consists in the use of a word or phrase in a sense other than that which is proper to it. Also, in casual use, a figure of speech, figurative language. So far as I'm concerned, if someone wants to use it like that, I'm not going to argue with them or their dictionaries. But most current usages are more in line with my first two definitions above. Here's how TV Tropes knits the two definitions together. Merriam-Webster gives a definition of trope as a figure of speech. In storytelling, a trope is just that, a conceptual figure of speech, a storytelling shorthand for a concept that the audience will recognize and understand instantly.
It doesn't. It's just another term for metaphor, like myth, theory, meme, cultural value, or figure of speech. Trope in particular comes from Latin tropus, a figure of speech. From the Greek verb taropapsiliniotenu, turn, direct, alter, change. Greek and Latin. That fillets really high. So trope tends to be found in scholarly essays, especially about literature, where it's quite common as a term of art, and in the speech and writing of those who aspire to impress others with their vocabulary.
Metaphor is only one kind of trope. Trope is any rhetorical technique that describes something in non-literal ways. For example, metonymy is a technique where one word is replaced with a phrase that is related but is literally different, such as the law for police. Synecdoche is using a part to describe the whole. Can you give me a hand? Irony is the use of words with opposite meaning, such as saying you're looking well, to someone who is clearly quite sick. There are also some expressions that are not considered as fully fledged tropes, but as subtropes. Here are two websites to get started on tropes. This URL. The latter website may explain the information you have been given. The late 20th century widespread reduction to one master trope, metaphor, especially under the influence of Lakoff and Johnson, 1980, is the most radical and absurd of these projects.
It is an overused theme or motif. One author suggests that tropes are Hollywood's greatest asset. For example, Star Wars relies on the same trope as the one in Odyssey, where the hero has to pass through trials and journeys in order to realize his true potential. This trope, no matter how much it is overused, will still earn Hollywood millions if not billions. We can therefore argue that Disney deals in tropes.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.